Findings reveal that Abba Kyari traveled to Germany 2 weeks ago to meet with officials of Siemens to discuss Nigeria's electricity expansion program. The Chief of Staff then left Germany to London and Egypt. He returned to Abuja on the 14th of March. Since his return, he has held various meetings with different government officials and individuals, and also continued to function in his capacity as the Chief of Staff to the President. On the 17th of March, he was with the President when members of the Economic Advisory Council visited the presidential villa. On the 18th of March, the Chief of Staff was at the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari and had in attendance the Vice President, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and Cabinet Ministers. There was also a leaked memo signed by the Chief of Staff expressing his concern over the refusal of some lawmakers to subject themselves to health screening at the airport, having just returned from high-risk countries. Thankfully, the president's test returned negative, despite his close contact with Abba Kyari, considered as his right-hand man. But Abba Kyari just entered self-isolation on Monday when he started showing symptoms of the coronavirus, and this has caused panic in the corridors of power. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 were also at the presidential villa to ensure Mr. President and the First Family are safe. The situation around the country remains very fluid, with the numbers of infected persons rising daily and overstretching the country's health infrastructure. President Muhammadu Buhari have also approved measures that may help break the chain of transmission and slow down the spread. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
These latest cases have raised the level of anxiety in the land now.
And has also made some persons begin to believe that COVID-19 really is real in Nigeria.
Moving ahead now, some states in the country are taking no chance with the coronavirus outbreak.
States like Lagos and a number of others are putting measures to contain the spread. This is why Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has ordered the shutting down of markets and stores in the state, except those selling food and medical items.
Now, the governor gave a directive at a press briefing on the COVID-19 situation in the state. TVC News senior correspondent Shani Jason was at the briefing where Governor Sanwo-Olu stressed that the measures are needed to check the spread of the coronavirus, as Lagos cannot afford a total lockdown at the moment.
Governor of Lagos State Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the press briefing on COVID-19 pandemic after a meeting with heads of security agencies in the state. Governor Sanwo-Olu announced new measures needed to be adhered to. He said public parks in private and residential estates, swimming pools, gyms, beauty salons and other public places should shut down until further notice.
If you do not have a need or a reason to leave your location, please stay at home. That's the best that you can do for your family, for yourself, and for us to ensure that we can do the job and do it well. So, and that's why we're extending the coverage of the lockdown from Thursday 26th, like I said, to all markets, but except the ones that are given exceptions to, that are selling food and essential household materials and medical equipment that we might need to restock or might need to deal with.
The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, says the state has the capacity to do molecular tests, which is 100% accurate, unlike the rapid test kit in circulation. Yaba Mainland Hospital, the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, and the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research have this facility.
It's not airborne, it is droplet-borne. So if I sneeze, it will remain in the air for a few seconds until the droplets fall to the ground. It does not remain suspended in the air. So in precise definition, it is not airborne, it is rather droplet-borne, and it remains active on some surfaces for a few hours.
the national leader of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, reiterated the need for people to cultivate the habits of social distancing to curb the spread of coronavirus.
In addition to the appeal of the governor for you to continue in bus stops and various environments, maintain distance from one another, stop the handshake, do what is necessary to protect the citizens.
Though there are about 1,800 persons to still be contacted to ensure that the coronavirus disease is actually contained in Lagos State. The Lagos State government is yet to announce a total lockdown of the state because of some economic implication. But the truth remains that social distancing and personal hygiene needs to be adhered to at this point to contain the disease. Sharon Jackson, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, Femi Aratokun Ali, security consultant and public affairs analyst, joins us now via Skype from the United Kingdom. Femi, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now. Can you make us understand how bad is the situation in the UK where you are?
Good morning and thanks for having me. This is a very serious time for everybody all over the world, and we really don't know what to say. We have no future. I think, are we going to have it ending soon or not? However, the situation is not far-fetched from what we've seen so far on websites, internet, and social media. It is terrible. We are in complete total lockdown in UK. The only thing that is actually moving right now, as seen, are going to be the ambulances, the UK police officers, and some key frontline officers, nurses and doctors, and security officers walking around the streets to make sure that infrastructure, safety of lives and property are fully protected.
Now, has this raised any form of security concern in the UK?
As I speak to you right now, you can see me, I'm more like fully dressed. So a few minutes time or hours time, I will be on my way to be in position of other security lockdowns. Because the security situation is that we're going to be having some common criminals and some ideas of, security opportunists that want to, invade offices and steal things, probably, steal food as well. It boils down to the fact that if you don't have some certain security measure in place, then the security is going to turn back to chaos and people will just, go back to lawless ideas that they might have in their brain. So it is good for us to have security in place while the lockdown is.
All right, the UK has about 7,500 active cases as it is right now, with about 422 deaths. What drastic measures is the government putting in place as we speak?
Well, the biggest measure they've taken so far right now is they've turned one of the biggest event centers in London, which is at Southeast London. Not Southeast, but East London, into a makeshift hospital that is going to probably house or contain any patients or any emergencies we might be having very soon. So Excel Center has been turned into a serious makeshift hospital. We are trying so hard, and the UK government is trying so hard to make sure that we do not record as much as possible, but it's inevitable. If we don't listen to the 2 meters rule, the social distancing, and stay at home as in the lockdown, then the situation will definitely go out of hand. It might just go like a domino stage that we just see death, climbing up and up and up till it is stop. So we have to listen to what the government is saying, what the experts and the doctors are saying, that please stay at home, let's keep hope alive, and let's keep our family together. This is the high time we need to reset our common brain and bottom that what have we been doing so bad in terms of infrastructure, health-wise, that we've not been doing. So perhaps this is the high time for us to invest better into our healthcare sector, both in and in Nigeria.
All right, the Prime Minister came up with stricter measures yesterday, and I'm wondering, wouldn't it be a challenge for those measures to be breached by hoodlums or other persons who might want to be a security threat to the UK?
Well, at the moment, we are seeing some challenges, happening around because when the lockdown is now in real enforcement, the enforcement has happened already, so it's not that when it's going to be happening, it's happening, but there will be criminal activities going on. However, it is not left for the security operators and the operatives to now see how best to cope with it. It's going to be a tough one because no one has ever experienced this before. So we just have to go along with it and start learning from the curve of what we're experiencing from day-by-day situation at the moment in the UK.
All right, let's bring it back here to Nigeria, where we are. You have been here so many times, and you have crisscrossed this country. You've seen how things are. Now, the government, state government and the federal government are putting up different measures to ensure that they curb or contain the coronavirus. How do you think this is going to impact on security? Although we have not heard so much about Boko Haram or herdsmen or bandits in the last few weeks. But besides that, there are other issues.
Well, the first thing that I can see the government trying to do first is to put a total lockdown on social gatherings, areas and events, which has not really been enforced. However, it's been enforced, but people are not trying to, take proper caution and, follow the rules and instructions, which is a challenge already. And we don't know how long people will listen to all that. Apart from saying that, the movement of people will be restricted, so there's going to be a breakdown into criminal activities. That's for sure. We're going to be seeing that. But having said that, how well protected are our security officers? That means our police officers and other security agencies in Nigeria. If they are not being given the right PPE to carry out these duties, that means they are going to be open to other kind of challenges that they might not be able to cope with at the moment.
So what would you expect security personnel or the government to put in place to check activities of hoodlums or criminals that might stem up as time goes on?
Well, basically, the police can't do it all alone, so this is where we're going to be needing the community policing around that we have at the moment to work in conjunction with the Nigerian police force, so that they can enforce and how do I put it? Let me put it this way: challenge any movement that is not called for at the moment, especially within our highways and within our roads that are being locked down at the moment. All efforts should not be into how do we put a total lockdown so that our hospitals in Nigeria will not be overwhelmed with patients that are dying or that need help.
All right, Premier Atukwade, thank you so much for talking to us from London. Staying on developments on the COVID-19 outbreak, as more new cases are confirmed daily, the country is seeing an upsurge in the number of infections.
Lagos now has the highest infections with 29 persons, followed by the Federal Capital Territory with 8 cases. Ogun has 3, while Ekiti, Oyo, Edo, Bauchi all have one case respectively, bringing the country still to 44 with 41 active cases.
And still on the coronavirus, as the number of confirmed infections in Nigeria increase, states and government agencies in the northeast are taking drastic precautionary steps.
Isolation centers have been set up in each state, and there are massive public enlightenment campaigns going on in communities across the region. Larry Adiami has details.
It started with denial, but coronavirus does change opinions. Now, there is a frantic race to take precautions and educate the public about the dangers of the deadly virus. Borno State has shut down visits to IDP camps as Yobe stockpiles medical protective gear and medication.
They have their community leaders, they have their opinion leaders and other stakeholders in the camps to pass the message and highly discouraging gathering, because any gathering of more than 20 is not allowed in the camp.
We have actually received additional stocks of personal protective equipment, disinfectants and other items that are needed. And as it is, we're also again planning some refresher trainings for all our healthcare workers.
Taraba and Gombe State are deploying religious leaders and traditional rulers on a mission to educate the public on the looming danger. The government wants them to help enforce regulations, especially social distancing.
The leadership of these two faiths to go ahead, gather their people at the appointed times of worship and prayers is to educate and sensitize our people very well.
The healthy ones that are that are in other communities are not allowed to go into